arriving at Mass this past Sunday was different than every other Sunday
Yeah.
we've come here. Coming into the parking lot, we saw that our own church was vandalized. We never thought we'd be doing this video this week, and we certainly never thought we'd be doing a sequel to our Shaun King video where we talked about, Catholic churches throughout the United States, but also throughout the world being vandalized or statues knocked down, but yet here we are. There were 3 messages I think the vandal really wanted to make clear to us. So I think we should just take him at his word and have a little dialogue with him.
Yeah, and the first thing that the vandal went to was Mary. I feel like it's always so weird. They always go straight for the Mary statue, and there was like spray paint, coming out of like her eyes.
As long like tears too. It was very eerie.
Yeah, it was definitely weird to see, but I thought there was just a little bit of irony to it, because it's usually the messaging of the people who are doing these things is that they're trying to liberate everybody, and they'll ally themselves with like, we're pro-feminist and this kind of stuff. But like, what better picture of the feminine is there than the Blessed Virgin Mary?
well, but especially at our parish, the name of our parish is Saint Mary of Perpetual Help.
Yeah.
She's our patron.
Right.
And her icon is above our altar, front and center.
Yeah.
Holding Christ, the Son of God.
Yeah, in fact, and we call her, the seat of wisdom, morning star, all these things. I mean, in no other, even Christian tradition, especially in no other Christian tradition, will you find so much piety towards the feminine than in the Catholic Church.
But it has been argued also, even outside the church, even outside of Christianity, that Mary is the most popular woman.
Yeah.
In the history of the world.
Yeah, so it's just a little bizarre that they immediately go for Mary, and in this case went straight for the Mary statue outside of our church. And so the second message that was left on the back of the church was no masters, or there are no masters.
Which is interesting, right? Because of course we're all slaves to someone or something.
Yeah.
Which is why St. Peter in the scriptures says that there are those who preach freedom, but they're slaves to corruption, for people are slaves to whatever masters them.
That's such a profound point. I remember even myself encountering that for the first time, and I was always just struck by that.
Whether it's
true.
Whether it's your desires, something abstract like desires, or anything that consumes you. An alcoholic is a slave to alcohol, right? The point is there's somebody behind that message that's spray painted on the walls of our church.
And he's a slave to somebody.
Yeah.
Or something, whether he realizes it or not. And in this case, it might have been.
Well, that's scarier if you don't realize who you're serving.
Right. Because in this case, it could be his own anger or a discontentment with life or his political affiliate. Something is mastering this person to make them go and do something like this instead of going about your normal day.
Right. But St. Paul says it was for freedom's sake that Christ set us free.
Exactly. So that's a little bit about what our master looks like. I fully confess that I have a master because I entered into his service willingly, and we all do as Christians. And we have the kind of master who laid down himself for us. He doesn't compel us. He doesn't force himself upon us the way that our passions do. Even our passions will even force themselves upon us. We have no choice. But Jesus didn't force it. He came willingly to attract us into his service. And once we are in his service, what does he say? He says to his apostles, right? I no longer call you servants, I call you friends. Mm-hmm. So entering into Jesus' mastery over us is actually entering into a relationship of profound friendship. And that's something that I think this person doesn't quite understand about the master-servant relationship in Christianity.
Right. And the third message on the walls of our church was, in big pink letters, God is dead.
Yeah.
And I think that hit me the most when I pulled into the parking lot, because I know that just beyond that wall where that's written is our sacristy and our tabernacle.
To me, it kind of hit me as like that was the first confession of the church. It's like part one of the church's confession, because there's a twofold confession that yes, Jesus died, like God died. We agree
with that
message.
Yeah.
Even in the Easter hymn of the Eastern Church, they say, like, he has trampled down death by death and giving life to those who are in the tombs. And then you have our message, right? Because that was the demon's message. That was the Romans, that we killed him. God is now dead. He got him. He's in the tomb. Our message was, but on Easter, he is risen. Christ is risen, and he conquered death by death. And so that was one of the ironies, I feel like, when I saw the message, where it was almost like, man, he's onto something.
Yeah. But the larger point there is that God died, and in his dying defeats death. But what Jesus really did there was absorb the violence of the world.
Yeah.
And that's what we Christians are called to do. So when we see graffiti on our walls,
Yeah.
right, what do? We take it. We sin when we brush off the suffering we ought to have.
To take on.
Yeah, we ought to take on. That can be sin too. Whoever did this, right, whatever's going on in their world, something was perpetrated on them, perhaps, they're bringing it to us, and with us it stops, it ends.
Yeah, because even like a building down the street also got vandalized by the same person. So it's like, you know, they're expecting us to come back at them and to do this, or, you know, but no, we'll take it. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll take this person with us to the Mass.
Yeah, we redeem it.
To pray for them. Yeah, to pray for their conversion. We would love to see conversion, right? So, gosh, if I even met the person, I'd be like, come to Mass. Like, I mean, instead of running in the middle of the night to send messages on our church building, come talk to us. That's, you know, I feel like that's the way we can stop the violence where it started, and then begin to spread not only conversion, but also the peace of God.
So what are we going to do as a parish? We're going to wash it off the walls, and we're going to go back to doing what we've been doing for 2,000 years, and that is offering the sacrifice of the Mass for ourselves and for our enemies.